Have you ever wondered why no matter how careful you tend to be, you still wind up with debit card fraud? Well, over 13 years of helping people manage their banking, I've noticed 5 big mistakes they all make that cause their debit cards to become compromised. So in this video, I'm going to show you the same thing I've shown thousands of my banking clients that solves this problem every time. The first mistake people make that leads to debit card fraud is not using tap pay. A massive percentage of debit card fraud is due to something called a skimming device. A scammer will put this device inside of a payment machine or an ATM, and when you swipe or insert your card, they'll steal your information. That information is then used to make unauthorized charges on your card and withdrawals from ATMs. Because skimming devices require your card to be inserted or swiped at a machine, using the tap pay feature can virtually eliminate all of these problems. If you don't use the tap pay feature everywhere you go, you may be making a mistake that's costing you money. The second mistake that people make is not being selective enough of who you do business with. One type of business you should be very selective of is gas stations. Because of the difference in locations, layouts, machine types, and security, some gas stations are at much higher risk of having their machines tampered with than others. People that go to the same location often are more likely to have a consistent result. Either you have debit card fraud all the time, or you rarely do. And this is probably based off of where you get your gas. If you always go to the same location and you have fraud often, I would recommend switching where you go to a place that you feel is more safe. If you're someone who constantly goes to different gas stations looking for the best price you can get, you may be putting yourself at a higher risk of fraud than someone that goes to stations based off of other factors such as security. Like I just said before, using the tap pay feature while using your card can eliminate a lot of this fraud even when a skimming device is present, so make sure you use the tap pay feature when you pay at the pump. When deciding where to fill up your tank, I suggest you choose a location based off the following 3 factors and do so in the order given. If they have tap pay, the security of the location, and lastly, the price of gas. For this reason, I like to go to Costco because they accept tap pay, their attendants inspect and monitor their pumps, and they always have a good price. Be careful who you do business with so you can avoid being skimmed and then being scammed. The third mistake you want to avoid making is using third-party ATMs. This is an automated teller machine owned by someone other than a bank. More specifically, these are ATMs that are owned by a person or a small business other than a bank or credit union. These are those small, less professional ATMs that you see inside of grocery stores, gas stations, fairgrounds, and other out-of-the-norm locations. Major banks spend millions of dollars ensuring their ATMs are designed, built, and maintained with fraud prevention in mind. These machines even have a component inside to detect skimming devices, shut down the machine, and notify a technician to come and remove the device. A lot of third-party ATMs, on the other hand, care a lot less about protecting your information, maintaining their machines, and care more about getting the least expensive machine they can get their hands on. They are trying to achieve the bare essentials of charging you a fee, connecting to your bank, and dispersing you money. Scammers target these machines and the people that use them. If you want to keep your information and your money safe, avoid these third-party ATMs. The fourth mistake is not shielding your PIN. When using your card at an ATM or a payment machine, make sure you always use your other hand to cover your PIN when you enter it. You want to make sure you conceal your PIN from scammers that may be looking over your shoulder or cameras that may be hidden on the machine. Believe it or not, you've most likely used a machine with a hidden camera and a skimming device within just the last few months. As a result of that, you've either had fraud on your card, you got really lucky, or you took the right steps to prevent it from happening to you. Scammers are becoming more and more creative with the way that they hide their cameras, making them in such a way that they blend in with the structure and the material used for the ATM itself or the payment machine. These skimming devices and cameras are nearly impossible to spot for the average consumer. I've even seen one that looks so good that a certified ATM technician completely missed it when looking over a machine. This just goes to show how hard it is to see these devices even when they're in plain sight. Because you likely won't notice someone peeking over your shoulder or a hidden camera or skimming device, it's important that you always shield your PIN when you enter it into a machine. Whether you're the only customer at a gas station in the middle of nowhere and no one else is around, or you're using your bank's ATM machine, it's important that you always cover your PIN and don't share it with anyone to keep your money and your card information safe. The fifth common mistake that people make that causes them to have debit card fraud is not using a secure PIN. When you first opened a debit card with your bank, you most likely did one of two things. You either chose a PIN number yourself when your card was issued, or one was randomly generated and sent to you in the mail along with your card. When creating your PIN, you probably weren't given much time to prepare, didn't really think it out, and made a mistake when choosing your PIN. When people come to this situation, they're usually trying to figure out a PIN that they should use based off of what they think they can remember, and not really taking in consideration the security of the number they're creating. For this reason, a huge amount of people either use their date of birth, they use the last 4 digits of their phone number, or they write it down on something and put it in their phone or their wallet. Every one of these scenarios I just mentioned is a recipe for disaster and for debit card fraud. If you're one of the people that's made that mistake, ask your bank how to change your PIN number and change it immediately. It's common for people to not treat their PIN as the secure password for their entire financial lives like they should, and I even had a case where someone handed me their debit card and on the back on the signature line, they wrote PIN, the number sign, and then their 4-digit PIN. Don't be that person. When you create a PIN, come up with a number that is easy for you to remember, but also very secure and impossible for someone to guess. A good example of a number like this could be the month and day that your best friend got married, or the day that you adopted your dog. Think of something that you will never forget, but someone can't guess instantly by looking at your ID, at something inside of your wallet, or something inside of your phone. Something I've seen way too often as a banker is someone will have their purse or their wallet stolen, the scammers will take the card and the wallet to the ATM, and they're able to easily guess what the person's PIN number is based off of their date of birth or other information in their wallet. The scammers then take out as much money as they can until the card is blocked or the person runs out of money. When the victim goes to the bank and tries to file a fraud claim, the claim is often denied because the bank can see that the card and the PIN was used to withdraw the money. Cards can be easily skimmed, but it's your duty to protect your PIN, which is the last defense against this type of attack. To put it simple, the bank doesn't know if you gave someone your PIN, you failed to protect it, or it was just stolen from you. Regardless, the bank often sees this as negligence, your story is hearsay, and they deny the claim. Sometimes the victim can overcome this, but it isn't easy and most victims don't see it being worth their time. Prevent this and other fraud from happening to you by creating a solid PIN and always keeping it secure. Another way to protect your debit card as well as your money, especially if you're a senior, is to watch this video next to learn the 7 tips you can use to avoid common scams.